number one. F minus G. Now, sometimes it might be G minus F. F minus, you got to pay attention to which one goes where. On this one, you're going to have an x squared plus 8x. That's your F. Minus your G. Make sure you put the minus sign is going to get applied to every term within the G function. So then you need to make sure if you take off those parentheses, it becomes minus 3x minus 5. So you get x squared. 8x minus 3x will be a positive 5x, and then you have the minus 5. And then you also have to pay attention to whether that's going to be an open circle or a closed circle. If it's an open circle, then you're looking at g of f, which is g of f, which means you're going to put the f function into the g function. So if you write the f function, x squared minus 3, and then you have that as x in the g function, g is 2x minus 1, so the x squared minus 3 takes the place of the x in the g function. Some of you were adding to the x. No, you take the old x out and you put the entire x squared minus 3 in its place. And then simplify that. Here all you have to do is distribute the 2, make it 2x squared minus 6, and then minus 1, which would be just 2x squared minus 7. So it's not multiplication, it's of g of f. Question? It's on the video. State the domain and range of the function. So you look at kind of the vertex and say, okay, from that vertex, we're going greater to the right and greater up. So both your domain and range are going to be a greater than or equal to symbol. Okay, the domain is going to be the set of all x's. It's a bracket. The set of all x's such that x is greater than or equal to, what's the x value of that vertex? And then the range is going to be the set of all y's such that y is greater than or equal to, what's the y value of this point? The y value, 0. And the x value and the y value of that point before it starts. Find the inverse of, it's on the video, 3 plus 5x. Y f of x equals 3 plus 5x. Call it y equals, you just want to pay attention right now, can 3 plus 5x, then switch their places. X equals 3 plus 5y. And then we're going to solve for y. Subtract the 3. X minus 3 equals 5y. And then divide by 5. So x minus 3 over 5 will equal to y, which is better labeled as f inverse of x instead of y. That's solved. Okay, going on. Determine which pair of functions are not inverses. Now this one's all messed up. But basically A was 2x squared plus 9 and 1/2 x minus 9. Right? That was choice A on your paper.
Just one for x. 1
says, on number 5, 2x plus 9, and h of x is 1/2 x minus 9. Are you on number 5, on the review? Some reviews are different. So you see outside of D, you see, look at D, it says g of x equals 3x plus 4, and then it says h of x equals. That h of x was supposed to have an inner sign before I got to the h of x. So it was supposed to be h of x down below the g of x. So rewrite it, fix it, whatever. These two go together for A. Okay? Those are A's. B is these two. C
It's the next one.
is the 3x minus 6 and the 1/3 x plus 2. I'll put it in blue. And then D is those two. Be okay. We'll live. A is 2x plus 9 and 1/2 x minus 9. Are they inverses?
Yeah.
We're looking for the ones that are not inverses. Some of you are saying yes. Some of you are saying no. Some of you know that you have to plug it in to figure it out. You just can't look at the stuff. If you take the 1/2 x minus 9 and put it there, you end up getting 2 times 1/2 x minus 9 plus 9, which ends up becoming x minus 18
They are not.
plus 9. So since the 18 and the 9 don't cancel, they are not inverses. And so you need to put that as your answer, because that's what it asks. Which one is not an inverse? A. Now if you go through and try B, C, and D for the fun of it, you'll see that no matter if you put A into B, or H into G, or G into H, everything cancels except for X. You end up getting 1X each time. We'll do B just to show you, but C and D will do the same thing. For B, you have x minus 1, and we're going to put that into x plus 1. That'll be your x plus 1. Now this one's kind of simple. That cancels out. You don't need the parentheses. It becomes x. Now if you put the x plus 1 into the x minus 1, same thing. X plus 1 into the x minus 1, you still get x. That one's a little too simple. We'll do B. We'll do C just to make it a little bit, a little bit more complicated one. So 3, and then the 1/3 x plus 2 minus 6. When you distribute the 3, you get x plus 6. And then the plus 6 and that minus 6 over here cancel each other out. If you do it the other way, and you do the 1/3, and then the 3x minus 6 inside, and then the plus 2 on the outside, you get 3 times 1/3, which is just 1x, minus 2 plus 2. The 2 and the minus 2 cancel out, and you're still left with just x. So everything these B, C, and D are all inverses. A is not. Which inequality is graphed at the right? The only thing that's being done to the identity inequality is that it's, or equation, radical equations, that's been shifted over to the left 3 places. We have a 1, if this was 0, that would be 1, 1, that would be 4, 2, and so it hasn't grown or been stretched any. So all we have is a square root of x, and if we shift it over 3, what do you put? Good, plus 3. We didn't go up or down, so we're not going to have anything out here. Now what do we write as the inequality symbol? Not or equal. Dotted. Dotted. So don't put a line underneath.
If you go and you move it over 3, then it would be to the other side. If you move it over 3 to the other
You
side,
minus
it would be minus 3.
That's right. Simplify. 25 p to the 4th t squared. Okay? So if you have square root of 25, square root of p to the 4th, and square root of t squared, what is that? What is that? What is that? Now, what do you have to do about this? Yes, you have to put absolute value because you took an even root and got an odd exponent on your answer.
Uh-oh.
This was square root and you got t to the 1st. There will be one with it and one without it on the multiple choice.
Okay. Mental note. Always pick the one that has the bar.
If the root index is even and the exponent you get when you finish is odd, because it's t to the 1st, then you need those absolute value bars.
So if it was even.
If you took the 4th root of t to the 8th, okay, then 8 divided by 4 is 2. Your answer is t squared. You don't have to worry about it. That's even and that's even. But if you do t to the 12th, 12 divided by 4, 3. Now you have a t to the 3rd. So you have an even and an odd. You need absolute values. Or if it was just t to the 4th, which is t to the 1st. Even, odd, you need absolute value bars. You don't have to write the 1, but you still need to understand that that's a 1 and that's an odd number. That's the quick way to figure out when to put them and when not to.
And no matter what, like if there's no index, then it's 2, right?
Yes. Principal square root. Cube root of 160. We need, does 160 have a perfect cube root?
I don't know.
Well, take the cube root of 160 in your calculator. Does it come out even? No, it's the 3rd root.
Okay.
Change that 2 to a 3. Do that one. 160. No, we're getting a decimal. Cube root of 160 is a decimal. But what does it have as a factor? Does it have a perfect square that's a factor? Or a perfect cube that's a factor?
16.
16 is not a perfect cube. No.
32. Let's see. 16. 200. 80. 80 goes.
Does 80? I don't know. Does 80? What's the cube root of 80? You have your calculator, it'll help. Help you learn.
No, I put down decimal.
Okay, let's just break it down. Oh, never mind. This is the wrong problem. All we gotta do is 3 decimal places.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Okay, it's the wrong problem, thinking of the future problem. What is it? So, let's back up. If we're gonna go 3 decimal places, we need to write down 4 and then narrow it down to 3. So what's the 4 decimal places?
4288.
What's the beginning?
5.
So 5.4288 means we need to write,
So it would be 428. So 429.
you look at that 4th just to determine if this is gonna be closer to being 429 or 428. An 8 after this 8 means this number is closer to being a 4.2 or 0.429 than it is to being a 4.28. But we want 3 decimal places.
Oh, after, okay.
3 decimal places means, yeah, after the decimal. All right, now here's the one I was talking about. Cube root of 256 t to the 4th. 256 has a perfect cube. What are some of our perfect cubes? That's a perfect square. You can start looking on your calculator. 2 to the 3rd. What is 2 to the 3rd?
A number 6. 9.
What is 3 to the 3rd?
9. Oh.
What is 4 to the 3rd?
81.
What is 5 to the 3rd? So those are some of your perfect cubes. Are either one of those factors of 256? I don't know. I went by what they said. I was listening to what they said. Somebody yelled 81, and so I 64. That sounds better. Does 250 is 256 divisible by any of these? How many times?
20. Let's see.
4? 4? Okay. So 256
Right.
is the same as 4 to the 3rd times 4. 54. Times t to the 3rd times t. Right? T to the 4th is the same as t to the 3rd times t. So this can be brought out, since I have 4 to the 3rd and I'm taking the 3rd root, that just comes outside the radical as a 4. This t to the 3rd comes outside as just t. This 4 and this t will remain underneath the cube root as 4t. 4t to the 3rd, or 4t, 3rd root of 4t would be what you get. All right, number 10. Without using decimals, that doesn't mean round to the ones place. Okay, that means don't use decimals at all. Keep it exact. Square root of 32. We're all on square roots here. So what perfect square goes into 32 evenly? 16. Our perfect squares, just a reminder, our perfect squares are 4, 9, 16, 25, 36. Those are our perfect squares. 16 goes into 32 evenly. want the biggest one. 18.
92.
Okay. 9 times 2. 54. 9 times 6. 150.
25
Times what? 6. So then if we take those perfect squares out, we get 4 root 2 minus 3 root 2 plus 3 root 6 plus 5 root 6. Now pay attention to this because you may not understand this. Who's going to come sit up front? One of you about to. You need to look at these like you do at x's and y's. These radicals, you treat them like variables. And so when you're combining like terms with variables, it acts the same way as like types with radicals. So a square root of 2 and a square root of 2, these two can be put together and these two can be put together, but you can't add a square root of 6 with a square root of 2. It's like having 3x and 3y. You can't add those together. That's right. So that's what you get. 1 root 2 plus 8 root 6.
Oh, you just
Add the like types together.
what?
Okay, 11 you're going to skip. 11 is the type of stuff you're going to do on Friday. Okay, it's called rationalizing the denominator. I'm going to do it real quick because you're going to have to do it Thursday and Friday when I'm not here. You need to be able, we can't have a radical on the denominator, so we got to figure out what we need to multiply by, some version of the number 1, so that we no longer have a radical on the denominator. What it would be is 2 plus root 3, because this is like what you get for a difference of 2 squares. 2 plus root 3. So what you get is 4 minus 3. If you FOIL this out, you'll get 4 minus 3. And then on top, you get 10 plus 5 root 3, which ends up being over 1. But you'll see that more after this week. Okay, we're going to solve square root of 3x plus 6 minus 1 greater than 5. Okay, I'll rewrite it. Step 1, add the 1. So that we can get the square root stuff by itself. Then we can take and square both sides of the equation, inequality, which will get rid of the radical. Okay? Subtract 6. We get 30. Divide by 3. X greater than or equal to 10. You need to isolate the radical part. We need to get that by itself. So this negative 1 was in the way. I added 1 so that this would be by itself over here on the left side of the inequality. Once it's by itself, then I can square both sides to get rid of this radical, because that's causing me to have a problem. Because 6 is not a perfect square. And neither is 36, or 3x plus 6. Once I square both sides, then I can treat it just like a plain old equation. From here on, that's old school. Subtract 6 divided by 3.
How'd you
I squared both sides. 6 squared. Okay, word problems. Here, just plug the numbers in where they go, then put it in the calculator. 1 plus r, okay, c equals little c, the little c is missing, times 1 plus r to the n power, that's an n. So we know the little c is going to represent the original cost or value, so that's the 3,000. 1 plus the rate is 6%, 0.06, don't write just 6 or 0.6, 0.06. And then here's a little bit of the tricky part that some of you that aren't on the ball will miss. N is the number of years. What should we put as N? Half. 6 months. 0.5. Okay, plug that in the calculator. Up arrow 0.5. And you'll get a number. You'll get a value, 3,088 or something like that. Okay, velocity. Velocity is defined as v equals square root of 2k over m. We need to find the velocity. We know the mass. We know the kinetic energy. So the velocity would be square root of k is my what? Velocity or energy. 2 times 360 over m is my mass, 20. Zeros cancel, the 2's cancel. I'm just looking at square root of 36, which is just 6. I don't know what units of measure you put velocity in. Some of y'all that are in physics probably know.
Yeah, seconds.
But it's 6 or whatever that is. 13, same thing. Or 15, same thing. Check the video for the rest of it.
All right, Coach. Thank you. Thank you, Coach.
Good luck. I'll be here tomorrow.
All right. We have a
No, you're away, huh?
no, we're away. Test tomorrow, right? So I got
Yep.
studies.
Okay, so number 15, we want to find out how far in 8 seconds. So we're looking for D, and we know T. So 8 will be square root of the distance over 16. So then we need to solve for D. We're going to need to square both sides. 64 will be equal to D over 16. Multiply by 16 on both sides. We get a distance of 1,024 feet. And last, if you're going to plug a function into itself, g of x, you just take the 4x minus 9, and that will become x within 4x minus 9. And then you distribute, you get 16x minus 36 minus 9, which would just be 16x minus 45.